When it comes to many things in life, size is very important. The size of the nose is also very important because it reflects many things about a person's characteristics and personality traits. In this video, you'll learn what different nose types indicate about a person through the science of physiognomy. If you're not familiar with physiognomy, it is the science of identifying people's characteristics and personality traits through their facial features. Starting with the famous arched nose. The arched nose indicates that a person likes to manage others and things. Those people are calculated decision makers. Also, there is a probability that a person with an arched nose will have a return on investment mindset. That's why in some physiognomy books, those people are described as financially shrewd, resourceful, and efficient with value and money. Regardless of the ethnicity, these characteristics will apply to anyone with this nose. You might think that this is racism, but it's not. This is pattern recognition. Even the people who say that they are God's chosen people approve this. They have at least 100 different companies that are specialized in facial recognition systems. This company, for example, is specialized in technology that reveals personality traits and IQ based on facial images. So this is kosher science according to them. People with similar facial features tend to have similar characteristics. You can see this pattern in identical twins. Identical twins look very similar, and they tend to have very similar personality traits. This doesn't only apply to humans, this also applies to dogs, for example. Dogs from the same breed look similar, and they tend to have similar traits. Different breeds of dogs have different characteristics, despite having the same origin. The downturned nose indicates that a person is skeptical, so those people don't trust everything they hear easily. That's why they are described as suspicious and cautious by nature. Many physiognomy books describe them as financially clever and cautious with money. This is because they are skeptical. If someone is skeptical, then it will be harder to sell them something. People with downturned noses are also described as cunning and manipulative, but these negative traits are not always true. This will depend on the ideology and moral principles of a person. You can't identify if a person is bad by just analyzing their facial features. But you can identify the characteristics and tendencies of a person that you are certain is bad, if that makes sense. In some cases, you can tell if a person is not right because of the gut feeling you get. This is subconscious. Usually, this happens not just because of the facial features alone, but because of the facial expressions, voice tone, and behavioral cues you detect subconsciously. So a person can develop a downturned nose over time. An example of this would be Bill Gates. Another example is Joseph Stalin. The nose can change over time, and this will reflect on a person's characteristics. There are multiple reasons why this could happen. The first one, cartilage changes with age because it becomes weaker, which can cause the tip of the nose to rotate downwards. The second reason is bone resorption in the maxilla, which is the gradual breakdown and loss of jawbone tissue. This can happen by many reasons. One of the common reasons is tooth loss. Bone resorption in the maxilla can cause the tip of the nose to droop. The third reason is the face is full of muscles, and muscles adapt to the specific demand placed on them. All humans use the same facial muscles to express the same core emotions. The repeated usage of the same facial muscles can reshape the face. Many factors can affect the face directly and indirectly, and the face is a reflection of the human psyche. The fleshy nose indicates that a person has collecting tendencies. Those people exhibit resource-focused behavior. They also have indulgence tendencies, and they enjoy sensory pleasures. People with fleshy noses also tend to have information-seeking tendencies, so they are very nosy. The phrase that a person is nosy has truth in it. Stereotypes exist for a reason, and they have truth in them. A fleshy nose can be caused by inflammation, and inflammation can be caused by food. A person with a fleshy nose who takes Accutane can experience shrinkage in the nose. Because Accutane removes inflammation, I'm not advising anyone to take drugs. Using drugs can lead to negative side effects. We are just connecting the dots. The large nose indicates that a person is ego-driven. It also indicates that a person has prideful tendencies, so those people can get offended easily. In some physiognomy books, they are described as confident. This is actually not true. They are just ego-driven. It is also mentioned that they dislike menial or low-status work. Having a large nose is not bad. The same goes to most facial features. In fact, some traits are desirable. But if a person has bad moral traits and facial features that reflect certain traits, then this would be a problem. For example, there is nothing inherently wrong with having a large nose that is arched, downturned, and fleshy. But if the moral traits and ideology are shit, then this would be a problem. Because those traits would amplify each other, just like compound interest, creating a snowball effect. But this ball would be made of shit. The snub nose is one of the feminine facial features. This nose is small, concaved, and upturned, similar to the nose of a child. So the characteristics of this nose would be the opposite of the large nose, the arched nose, and the downturned nose. The snub nose indicates that a person is spontaneous, impulsive, and possibly childlike in behavior. It also indicates that a person is present-focused. In general, short noses indicate that a person is present-focused, regardless of the shape. Having a short nose doesn't mean that a person doesn't have goals or ambition, so don't confuse between the two. The snub nose is upturned. The upturned nose is the exact opposite of the downturned nose. A person with an upturned nose is more trusting. They are not skeptical like a person with a downturned nose. They are also more likely to be naive, especially if the rest of the facial features are feminine. We mentioned previously that the arched nose indicates that a person likes to manage others and things. A concave nose is the opposite. Those people tend to be service-oriented. They have the characteristics of a supporter. The snub nose is concaved, so those characteristics will apply to it. Also, a person with a snub nose is more likely to be impulsive with money. They are not efficient with resources like people with arched noses. It is mentioned in some physiognomy books that they get easily scammed. This can be true, but it is not definite. They are described in that way because they are not skeptical. They are more trusting. They are also present-focused and spontaneous. This combination can increase the likelihood of getting scammed, especially if the person is stupid. So this nose is more common among women. As I mentioned previously, this is one of the feminine facial features. You can still find men with this nose, and those characteristics will apply to them too. Having a snub nose doesn't equate to having low testosterone. A person can have masculine facial features with some feminine facial features and have high testosterone at the same time. Hormones don't affect all your body parts equally. They amplify what your genetics allow each region to express. Different tissues in your body have different number of androgen receptors, so the number of androgen receptors will vary from one body part or face part to the other. Androgens like testosterone bind to the androgen receptors, which in turn makes the body and the face parts grow, if growth is genetically permitted in those specific parts. The brain also has hormone receptors, and it is one of the most hormone-sensitive organs in the body. Each brain region has different profile of hormone receptors, and each part of the brain is responsible for different emotions, behaviors, and personality traits. I believe that there is a strong receptor-to-receptor link between the face and the brain. This has not been proven or refuted yet, so you won't find studies on this, but this doesn't matter to prove if physiognomy is true or not. You can observe people's behavior and confirm it by yourself. I have privately analyzed more than 50 people, and everyone says that their results were accurate. So the probability that physiognomy is not accurate is effectively zero, based on the results. If any study that supports or proves physiognomy gets published, it will probably get delisted by index services because of the so-called ethical reasons. Moving on to the wide nose. This nose is noticeably wider at the base. It is also not protruding. It appears to be flat from the side profile. This nose is common among Africans, South Americans, and East Asians. It also reflects the behavioral patterns of those groups. The wide nose indicates that a person is group-oriented or team-oriented, so people with this nose prefer collaboration and community. For example, Chinese people tend to work in groups and are group-oriented. This is not just because of the culture. This is also because of their inherent behavior. Some of the characteristics are inherent, so genetics plays a role in your behavioral tendencies. Other groups of people who has proportionally narrower noses that are protruding are generally more individualistic. This has nothing to do with tribalism or nationalism. A person can have loyalty to their country, tribe, or whatever, and at the same time have the tendency to be individualistic. The idea that people from different ethnicities are the same is far away from the reality. Different groups of people have different characteristics, just like how different breeds of dogs have different characteristics. Culture, genetics, environment, and many other factors play a role in a person's characteristics and personality traits, and many things can directly and indirectly affect how a person looks. The face is a direct reflection of the human psyche. If you want to get a very accurate face analysis, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Telegram. You can find the links below. You can also register in a very powerful online course by reaching out to me. The course will teach you 150 different facial features to help you analyze people accurately. The information you will get is filtered from 20 different books, so you will get the most accurate information possible. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to learn more about physiognomy.